Welcome back, everybody. Today we will be replacing the oil pump and pan on a 1989 Toyota Corolla with the 1.6 liter 4A-F engine. The process is pretty much identical for any 4A-FE engine as well. Let's get started. Start by removing your negative battery cable. Drain the oil. This is a 14 millimeter. Mine is actually a 13 millimeter. I'm gonna put the plug back in. Crack your lug nuts. These are aftermarket, so they're 19 millimeter. Then chock your rear wheels, set the parking brake, jack up the vehicle, lower it onto a jack stand on the passenger side, remove the wheel, remove the passenger side splash guard. This is all 10 millimeters. Remove the intake. Pull this out. This connector, this one's a 10 millimeter. It's using a ratcheting spanner for this one, or a ratcheting box and wrench. Disconnect this little gray one. So when you pull up on the tab, this one's easier to get from below. Here's the tab. Kind of a two-hander, but there it goes. And then just to not break the oil pressure sensor connector, just pull that off. Back up top, there's one 12 millimeter bolt here. Then back from the wheel well, there's one 14 millimeter that we can get from this side. At this point, we can just remove our belt. You don't need to remove the alternator for this job. I only did because I'm also doing the head gasket. That out of the way. Loosen your AC tensioner bolt. One is 14 millimeters. Crack this one loose too. Also 14. and get your belt off. Get this wire harness out of the way and unclip it with a little flathead here. Loosen the power steering pump belt tensioner, 14 millimeter. Loosen the lower bolt, also 14. Now we should be able to remove the belt. Now we can remove the harmonic balancer bolt. It's a 17 millimeter. I'm going to use a weighted socket with a normal impact. Slides right off. Remove your dipstick tube, 10 millimeter right here. Remove the dipstick next. It's a 10 millimeter bolt right here. Just using a box end wrench because I can't really fit the socket in there. Get back here, grab the whole thing. Kind of wiggle it as I pull up. As you can see, the O-ring is just completely flat on that. At this point, I'm going to support the engine and transmission from the transmission pan. Temporarily reinstall your crank pulley. This vent hose, your PCV hose, remove your ignition wires, remove the three 10 millimeter for the valve cover. Start moving your upper timing cover bolts. One in the front. One below it. Move this 10mm right here. One more 10mm down here. Then remove the upper timing cover. Remove your lower cover bolts. Remove the last bolt down here. But we can now get our lower timing cover out. Remove the timing belt guide. Crack your 14mm timing belt tensioner bolt. Pop your timing belt off. Remove the tensioner spring. Now let's remove our oil pan, starting with the bolts. I'm going to crack all these by hand, just because I am scared of breaking them. This is a good time to bust out the flexible extension if you have one. At this point, we've gotten everything but two bolts, one on the front side, as you can probably see right there, and then one on the rear that I don't know if I can even show you. Unfortunately, to reach the last two bolts, we do need to move this center support. There's just no clearance, in my opinion, to get in there. So let's start with the front. It's a 17 and 2/19, and you will want to have the engine and transmission supported. pop this off. Two 14s in there. Remove this cover. Two 17s in there. To get that 14 on the back, just doing a deep 14 socket with two extensions over the exhaust pipe. Remove these two 17mm nuts. Now we should have most of the clearance we need. And if you pull down hard enough on the center support, you should be able to pull out the center mount. I'm going to pop out that cover for the flywheel bolts. Once again, we got the good old flex on to get it. This one I'm just going to pull down and get it with a deep 10mm. Two extensions, a pivot, and a 10mm. Now I'm just going to use a flathead wrapped in some tape to break this free. And it slides right out. Here's our pan. A little milky, probably some coolant in there. Not sure what that is, it's just white. Four 10mm bolts to remove the pickup tube and strainer. Two bolts, two nuts. Finally, we can remove our oil pump. It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 12mm bolts. They are different lengths, so just keep them in order. This one will be a little tricky. Remove this tensioner hardware so we have a little more space. Use a flathead to pry off the timing gear. So we're going to try a regular box end wrench. So to make my life easier, I decided to just get rid of this flange that's blocking us. There it is. All I did was take this pry bar and pull as hard as I could, like that. It snapped right off. So the nice thing about the new Aisin oil pump, it does not have this ridge here at all. So we don't have to worry about it on reinstall. So if you can cut this out, break it out, whatever you need to do, it's fine because you won't have to deal with that again. Regular 12 millimeter. We're going to leave that loose. Pull the whole thing off. Now I have to clean all this gasket material off and make sure this surface is ready for the new pump. I'm going to use gray Scotch-Brite pad, razor blades, and adhesive remover. Here's our new oil pump, and this is the seal I'll be using. As you can see, it doesn't come with the studs for the oil pickup, so I'll have to pull these. I'm going to use two 10 millimeter jam nuts. There's one. Now install them onto the new oil pump. And we'll do the same thing. Don't put them on all the way, just most of the way. Tighten them, then tighten from the bottom. till it's nice and snug. Don't overdo it though. Good. Next, I'm going to tap out the old seal. We'll take our new seal, put a little bit of white lithium grease around the outside edge. We're going to use our old seal to tap it into place. We do want it to be flush. So this side's looking pretty good. A little bit more on this side. All right, here we go. And lastly, I forgot to get the oil pickup gasket. So we're just gonna end up making one out of gasket paper. It's gonna like press this in and hopefully it makes a mark. And we will follow that. Here's the gasket we'll be using. Align the teeth on the oil pump with the crank. So we're just going to loosely hold the gasket on in place with a bolt. Then we can maneuver it in like this. And start screwing in our bolts by hand. And remember, this bolt does need to be in first, or else it won't fit. also have to back this off again so we can get clearance for that. That's through. And start getting the rest of our bolts in. Torque these to 16 foot-pounds, starting from the middle. For this one, we're going to use a crowfoot socket, and as long as you keep it at exactly 90 degrees from your torque wrench, the torque will remain the same. If you increase that angle more, it would require less torque. So just keep it at 90 degrees, as you can see. We've cleaned our pickup tube surface. We have our new homemade gasket there. Reinstall the tube. Torque to 8.3 inch-pounds. Next, we'll clean off our oil pan sealing surface with Scotch-Brite pad, razor blade, adhesive remover, whatever works best for you. So we've got our block really nicely cleaned with a razor blade and a gray Scotch-Brite pad. Now we'll do a quick wipe down with 3M adhesive cleaner and install the oil pan. Because two of them were studs that came out with their nuts, I'm just going to replace them with two bolts that are very similar in terms of effective length. Calls for a 3 to 5 millimeter FIPG bead on the pan. This one is just slightly under 4. That'll be good. It says the second section down, there was one more thin section up top. And we are using OEM Toyota 103 FIPG for oil. So as you can see, there's indentations in the pan. We're going to want to get it inside of that, and then on the inside of the bolt hole all the way around. We've cleaned all of our bolts with a wire brush and adhesive cleaner, and we have them ready to go. I'm not going to be able to show you getting every single bolt in just because I wanted to get it done as soon as possible. Torque your pan bolts to 43 inch-pounds. Install your oil drain plug and torque to 29 foot-pounds. Now we can reinstall our flywheel bolt cover. Pop that in. And pull down on the cross member, or the center support, to sneak our center mount in. Picked up a shorter 14mm head bolt to replace the long 13mm head aftermarket bolt that was in there. I'm going to thread that by hand. This one I just got started by hand. Now I'm going to do an impact with an extension all the way in. Torque to 17 foot-pounds. Install your 17mm center support nuts. And the rear ones. Torque to 35 foot-pounds. We can get our center cross member back in. It's two 19mm and a 17 in the middle. It has shifted a little bit, so it's going to be a little difficult to line it up, but should be able to get it. Use a jack if you want. And the other 19 goes here. And the 17 in the middle. Torque the 17 to 35 foot-pounds and the 19s to 45 foot-pounds. Now we can install our 14mm here. to 35 foot-pounds. Reinstall your timing gear. Now we can reinstall our compressor alternator tensioner. This guy just goes around back. Don't reinstall the pulley here. I will be taking it off so it's easier to get the middle timing cover back on. Now we can install our timing belt tensioner loosely. The spring goes like this side on the tensioner, this side on the little stud right here. Now I can put a new O-ring on our dipstick. That's what I'm using. This one is very dry. Rock hard. A little oil on it and insert it. Install the 10mm bolt. Alright, at this point we can pull our timing belt tensioner to the left and tighten the bolt. The easy way to do this is get a pry bar from the top. Push against it like that. Now just get your belt around the pulley, around the gear. Put your timing belt retainer washer on there and your lower cover. And put on your harmonic balancer. As we can see from disassembly, our crankshaft is still at top dead center. Remove the plug from the lower timing cover so we can access the tensioner pulley set bolt. Now loosen your tensioner pulley set bolt. Now we'll need to spin the engine 2 revolutions clockwise by hand. Here's our mark at top dead center. That's 1. There's our mark right there, kind of hard to see. I'm gonna go ahead and mark it with a Sharpie just so you guys can see better. All right, we're gonna check it from the top. And our crankshaft is lined up at top dead center. And at top dead center on the camshaft, we should be able to see the mark on the bearing cap through the hole on the cam gear. Remove your harmonic balancer again. You do just kind of have to force it in here under the water pump pulley. If you were like me and you didn't put the cover in before the pulley. Torque your tensioner pulley to 27 foot-pounds. Reinsert the plug. Pop your upper cover on. This little bracket actually goes here, like this. It clips like that through the timing cover. Reinstall your harmonic balancer. I'm just going to zip it on with my weighted socket. Since it rotates clockwise, it will tighten itself, so I'm not too worried about it. Loosely reinstall your drive belt tensioner pulley. Next, let's get our power steering belt on. Just pull the pump towards us until we can get it over the pulley. bolt. I'm going to use a pry bar against the block to put tension on the belt. And tighten down the bolt. And loosely install your nut. Torque both the power steering upper bolt here and then the lower bolt to 29 foot-pounds. Next we'll install our AC compressor belt. It goes around this harmonic balancer and then a tensioner pulley. Now with a 14mm and a couple extensions, we'll tighten the tensioner pulley. Check the deflection in the belt. That is it's pretty tight. So we're gonna leave it at that. I could not find the torque spec for the AC compressor belt tensioner. So I'm just gonna do 15 foot-pounds and it should be fine. Let's get our alternator in position. Thread the bolt through. Goes around the harmonic balancer, water pump, and alternator. I'm just going to pull the alternator nice and tight here. Use a pry bar once again to get our tension good. Then we're going to tighten this upper bolt. Also could not find a torque spec for this. Just gonna make that nice and tight. Pretty good deflection on it. One more crank. Yeah. Tighten the alternator pivot nut. 14mm. Before we get our valve cover back on, we will put some FIPG at the bearing cap and half moon seams. These are 10mm. Just gonna do them until they all kind of flatten. I can reinstall our boots. our big wiring harness back over here. Connect your PCV valve hose and your vent hose from the intake. Reconnect our alternator. Cap back on. And plug in your oil pressure sensor connector and your AC clutch connector. Reinstall the intake. Plug in the little black plastic hose to here. Reconnect your battery cable. Fill the engine with 3.7 liters of oil if you change the filter. Start the car and make sure the oil pressure light doesn't light up. Reinstall your splash guard and wheel. Jack the vehicle up, remove your jack stand and lower the vehicle. Then just torque your lug nuts to 76 foot-pounds and you're all done. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. And I hope you can all sleep soundly, knowing your engine won't blow up due to oil pump failure. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.